In this video, I want to share with you this IFTA fuel tax reporting template that I built. So I sell this on Etsy and also on my website. Uh, Before moving forward, I just want to say a quick disclaimer. So this video and this template, if you choose to purchase it, is just for educational and informational purposes only and does not provide tax or legal advice. Always check with your accountant or local tax authority for your specific situation. So I sell this item on my website. If you're interested, you can check out my website. It's a little bit cheaper if you purchase it on my website. So here it is. I also provide customization and automated system as well in Google Sheet and Excel. So if you're interested, reach out to me. And you can purchase this item on my website. It's a little bit cheaper. You get 10% off, and you don't have to pay sales tax because I take care of the sales tax for my customer. So this is the item I'm demonstrating today. So check it out. If you're interested, I'll put the link in the description. So let me go back to the template real quick. So if you purchase this item, you get 5 tabs. So before we go over the tabs, let me just explain what IFTA is. So IFTA stands for International Fuel Tax Agreement. It is an agreement between the US states and Canadian provinces that simplifies fuel tax reporting for truckers who operate across multiple jurisdictions. So how does IFTA work? So instead of filing separate fuel tax report for every state you drive through, you just file one IFTA report through your base state. And that single report breaks down your miles driven and fuel purchases by state, so fuel taxes are distributed correctly to each jurisdiction. And one important note is that IFTA only covers fuel taxes. Some states have additional taxes that you need to report separately, like Oregon have a weight and mile tax, New York, Kentucky, New Mexico, they have a weight and distance tax. So always check if the states you operate in require additional tax filing beyond IFTA, all right? So, so let's go over this all the tabs in this template, and then we'll do an example so you can see how it works. All right. So this is the second tab here. So this is the IFTA tax rate table. So IFTA tax rate, they change every quarter. So every quarter you have to update the tax rate. So this is the table where you can come in here and update the rate every quarter. And here I put some instructions, and here's a website to the IFTA website. So you can come here and look up the rates per the quarter. So if you click on this IFTA website, you know, you can come here and then you can see, you can select any quarter that you want and it'll tell you what the rates are for that quarter, okay? You can come here to the IFTA website, or you can go to any other website that's more convenient for you or where you get your IFTA rates, right? But the most important thing is to make sure you update this every quarter because rates change. If you don't update this correctly, then the table or the ledger calculator, it will not be able to calculate the information correctly, all right? So the next tab is the IFTA ledger. So here's where you input in all your data and then automatically calculate your IFTA tax credit or the tax that you owe to the state. All right, the IFTA tax reporting summary, here's where it summarizes the data in the ledger. But here, the cool thing is you can filter this by the month, the quarter, and the year, and then any state or provinces that you want. And then the weight and mile ledger, as I mentioned earlier, some states have a weight and mile tax, like Oregon. It just have a weight and mile tax. It doesn't have an IFTA fuel tax. But Oregon is part of IFTA, all right? So that's why I have this ledger. So in case if you go through some of these states in your travel, you can have a weight and mile tracker as well to see how much you owe, all right? So let's do an example. So here, I already updated for Q3 of 2035. This is an example. This is actually 2025, but I just put 2035 here. But if you buy this template, just make sure you update this and make sure all the rates are correct, all right? So let's assume this is the most current tax rate, and then the IFTA ledger, how it works is that you just enter in your information. So you need to enter in the date. So let's say we'll enter in for August 2035. You can add a load number if you want. You can put a person's name here, a driver name, a truck number if you want as well. And then for this, here is state and province. Let's do Arizona. Okay, and let's say we travel 800 miles. So it wants to know what your odometer at entry is. So let's say 60,000 mile. And then we have 60,800, so that means we travel 800 miles. And then here, it wants to know what is your taxable mile, right? If all that 800 is taxable, just put 800 here. And then it wants to know what your truck MPG is. If your truck MPG is 6, then just put 6 here. And you can put the fuel vendor name you want, and this is always diesel because this template can only work for diesel at the moment. I didn't want to add all the other fuel because there's other IFTA fuel taxes, but most driver, they only file for diesel because that's what the truck uses the most is diesel, right? But if you need IFTA for other type of fuel, feel free to reach out to me and I can customize it for you. But right now, as the template's being sold, it just works for diesel, all right? And then here, the gallons purchased. So it automatically calculates that you need 133.33 gallons to go 800 miles in Arizona. So now it wants to know how many gallons did you actually purchase. Let's say we purchased 100 gallons, okay? And then we spent, I don't know, $3.75 per gallon. So we spent $375 in Arizona. And then here's non-taxable gallon. Of this 100 gallons, is there any gallon that is like reefer or other non-taxable gallon? If you have some of those gallons that you purchased, you can put it here. But let's say 100 of those is all like diesel, it's all taxable, okay? So now it calculates what is your net taxable gallons, meaning gallons you consumed. So which is consumed, meaning this 133.33, which is the total gallons you need to travel 800 miles within Arizona, right? So you need 133 gallons, and your net taxable gallons is 133 minus 100, right? Because this 100 is where you purchase in Arizona. And then this is a tax rate that automatically populate because it comes from this tax rate table that we update. So that's why it's very important to always update your tax rate. And then your Arizona doesn't have a surcharge rate, so that's why it's blank. And you can see this effective date is Q3 2035. The reason why it says 2035 is because I put 2035, okay? But after you update this table, you can just put whatever quarter and year it is, and then it's kind of like a reminder to tell you, hey, this is the effective date. Are we sure that this is the correct rate? Okay. And then here is where it calculates your prepaid tax credit. So this one is basically just your gallons purchased times the rate, the tax rate, okay? So 100 times 0.260 is $26, okay? And this is the amount that we owe, which means is this consumable gallon, this is the total gallons you need to travel 800 miles in Arizona, times this rate, so this would be 34.67, right? And there's no surcharge, so you don't have to pay that. So that means we owe more than we purchased, so that means we owe $8.67. So that's how this template works, and that's basically how IFTA works. If you use more gallons in that state and you didn't pay as much taxes as you need to, then you have an amount that you owe, right? So this is the IFTA tax summary here. So we can go here and find Arizona, just so right here. So you see, you can filter the data by anything you want. So we just filter by Arizona, and we can see the total miles travel in Arizona is 800, taxable miles 800. The gallons we purchased again is 100, but we needed 133.33 gallons. So our net taxable gallons 33.33 gallons. And then this is the amount we already paid, and this is the amount we owed. So the difference is $8.67. So we owe that much to Arizona. Okay. So that's pretty cool, right? So you can just filter anything you want here. So if you pick all, you have all the data that you want. So you can filter any state, any quarter, basically. The weight and mile ledger, it's also pretty interesting because it just, you just record this for all the states that, have the weight and mile. And I already put some of the states that have it, but, you can update this as time goes on. I don't know what's going to happen in 2026. Things might change, right? And then here you can put the reporting frequency for each of those states. So it'll populate here and tell you like when is it, when you're required to report it. So how it works is pretty easy. So let's do an example for Oregon. I already know I have one, but Oregon's one of my favorite states, so we'll just do an example. So here is 2/1/2035. So you just put in the date. You can put in a unique identifier if you want, and here you can put any driver if you want here. So anything that says required, you need to put in the data. Anything that doesn't have the word required, you can just skip it if you want. And then here we'll just do Oregon. So this drop down menu here matches whatever the states here is you have input here, all right? And so it wants to know the odometer at entry, let's say 60,000, and then 60,500. So we travel 500 miles in this state. And how you get the weight is, whatever your weight for your truck is, let's say 75,000. And then you go to the state's website and see how much they charge for that certain weight class or weight range. So let's say you go to the website, Oregon's website, and they say, um, any truck weighing between 17,000 to 80,000 miles or pounds, it'll be 20 cents per pound, right? So you put 20 cents here, then you owe $100 basically. So that's basically how it works. So you just put in, so any state with a weight and mile, basically you just put in the weight and then you put in the rate for that weight, and then that's how much tax you owe. And here's the monthly frequency, because here in Oregon we put as monthly, right? So it's very nice because here you have kind of like a table, and then you can filter the information as well. You can filter by any state. Obviously we only have one state because I only put in Oregon, but you can filter it and then you can print it out. So it's pretty neat. Um, so that's basically how this template works. It's pretty cool. So if you're interested in something like this to help you keep track of your IFTA, then check this out. And thank you so much for watching.